That was a great victory for Georgia. A lot of fun afterwards in the locker room, getting a chance to celebrate with the players and the coaches, and just seeing a smile on everybody's face. It's always a war to come here and play. It's always a battle. It went about the way we thought. We thought both teams were going to play a physical brand of football. We thought there'd be a lot of field position in this game. We thought covering kicks was going to be important. We thought just the little things were going to be important in the kicking game. And just really proud of how everybody played. Everybody rose to the occasion at one time or another. Offense did enough when we had to. Our special teams, we scored obviously on the punt return by Isaiah, which was a great job by everybody, including Isaiah. It was a great job by our defense, getting the ball, getting the turnovers for us, and just playing stout, even getting that last turnover in the red area when they could have scored a TD and might have made it a lot more interesting at that point. Being able to punt the ball out of there deep in our territory was huge. Being able to recover the obvious onside kick at the end of the game was big. I mean, all those, it's like John Lilly says, and he was in charge of those last two units I just mentioned, but he'll say it every week. He goes, man, these things aren't important until they're important. Sometimes you work on them all year long. You might work on them for 2-3 years and never see an onside kick, and then all of a sudden it's about to happen and everybody realizes how important it is. So just really good execution on that last punt and execution on that last onside kick recovery. But I'll open it up to everybody who has a question.
Coach, time of possession can often be a little bit of an overrated stat. You guys owned it today. Was that also part of your plan coming in, was to try and give the defense a rest and own the clock?
Well, I personally think the number of plays is a little bit bigger stat because really time of possession can just be the time in between snapping the ball. You know, just be standing around for 20 seconds before you snap it, which is fine. And we did huddle today. When you huddle, you tend to use more clock. And then when you're at the line of scrimmage and you can't hit very well, it takes the clock down to near zero. We had to use a couple timeouts in the first half. We took a delay game after it was third and a mile. Well, I didn't want to use a timeout at that point. When we could have called timeout to stop that delay. Yeah, the goal was to control the ball as much as possible. We knew we were going to try to run the football, and time of possession. Not to diminish it, it is important. I'm glad we're on the big end of that. But sometimes it's just a matter of who runs the most plays that makes the most difference.
Mark, Isaiah, what makes him such a dynamic punt returner is his ability to make those first people miss.
He's got nerve, number one. You got to have nerve, and sometimes that nerve will work against you too. You may try to catch a ball that you shouldn't be trying to catch. And the true story of this whole thing was Isaiah was really struggling, in my opinion, on his decision making, and that's why we put Terry in there. And some of his decision making was just in practice, and so we gave Terry the opportunity. But what Terry wasn't doing, when the ball got kicked short, he wasn't alerting everybody. We make a call. We just most everybody uses the term Peter, meaning just get out of the way of the ball. And you got to be demonstrative. You got to go and show everybody where the ball is to get out of the way. And the first time he didn't do it, we coached him up. And then the second time he didn't do it, so we put Isaiah in. And that might have been a good thing. I mean, Terry might have done the same thing. And he's a young guy. I'm really not blasting him at all because it's experience. It's a learning process. But that's why Isaiah was in the game at that moment, because Terry was just not experienced enough to make sure everybody would get out of the way of a short kick like that.
This dude has 5 kick returns for touchdowns in his career. You're thinking, well, we need to put him in there so maybe he can make something.
No, it wasn't a great coaching decision like that. It was just a matter of Terry needing to learn how to take care of business a little bit better on the short clock. You can write it any way you want, though.
After that first drive down in the end zone after they scored, Jordan Jenkins was the most vocally upset it looked like a player on the field. But whether it was being upset or being hyped up, it seemed like he was the most
Yeah, he's a very emotional guy. This is his senior year. This is his last shot. This is his last SEC ball game. And he could have gone pro last year and tested the waters and decided what to do. But he chose to stay. He wanted to get better as a football player. He wanted to get his degree, and he wanted to have a great senior season. And you know, when we ended up not being able to play for the SEC championship, this victory here was the next best thing. And he cared very much about it, like all of our seniors did. But I think our guys did a really good job of focusing on their job, and it's okay to be demonstrative, or it's okay to be bad. It's okay to show emotion, and encourage your teammates to do better. You know, on the side of the ball you play, and if it's the offense for him, I want him to encourage him. If it's the defense for Diaz, I want him to encourage the defense. You know, he can get on the offense all you want, but when it comes to another side of the ball or special teams or whatever it is, the goal is to encourage somebody if that's not part of your role or your responsibility.
But just how as the game went on, just talk about how he came back and how he impacted the game again.
On how who came back?
Jordan.
Yeah, Jordan played great. I mean, I'm not gonna just single him out. He might be from wherever you're from, but he's a great kid. He's a great player, and he's been an outstanding senior leader for us. But we had a lot of good leadership all throughout the last couple of weeks, and today for sure.
Mark, you're talking about playing with emotion. What about coaches that have too much emotion on the sidelines?
I don't know what he did. He's a fired up dude. There ain't no doubt about
He
it.
injured Rico.
Oh, is that the one he injured Rico? Oh, I wish I didn't know that. I hope he's okay.
I think he'll get back in the game.
I hope so. He must have knocked the wind out of him or something. I don't know what happened. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, hockey, he's in charge of sideline control. He was out on the field before the play was over on some play, and the official please tell your coaches don't get on the field till the play is over. And I said, well, unfortunately, that's the guy in charge of bench control. We failed miserably.
Hey, Mark, I know you hadn't seen the film yet, but Isaiah Wynn in the matchup with him and Carl Lawson, I think was one a lot of people were looking toward, and you didn't hear Lawson's name called that much.
Well, I know a couple times we had we had some presence on the edge, meaning we had some tight ends running through the area where most great rushers beat you on the edge. So we try to make it where he had to go inside of that. If he went way outside of it, he wouldn't have had a chance. So we respected him enough to have a game plan for him. And but also Isaiah, had to do his thing. And like you say, I haven't seen the film, but there was a couple third downs where I knew we were going to throw the ball, and I just watched specifically what 55 was doing, because I felt like he was a guy that could blow the thing up. And with the presence that we use with our tight ends and Isaiah just setting firm down the middle, he did a nice job.
One thing kicking today, one of the best, if not the best days of all your special teams.
It probably was. I know we covered kicks well. The kickoffs we covered well. Obviously, punt return for touchdown. Punting the ball out of the end zone was huge. Making sure we caught it, got it out of there, got the guy on the ground. Onside kick, Handstein doing it just the way we coached it. And, the players were saying if Malcolm wanted to, he probably could have scooped it and scored, but that's not his job to do that at that point. His job is to get on it and secure it and let us take a knee. So, yeah, I think I'm trying to think of any other issues. I know we punted them inside the 20 at least once, maybe twice. Bryce had a good day. If you're the punter that doesn't have to kick the ball in the short zone, sometimes your stats get a little bit better. But and he got a good bounce in there. But I thought he did a nice job of catching it again. Now, most of the time it's in camp that you practice that kicking from out of the end zone, and I'm not sure Bryce had a rep at that until today. Now, we did get the ball to about the 4-yard line, which helped, which made it almost normal. But if we had to kick it from the 1, that's a whole different operation. I was glad we were able to move it far enough to make it close to normal.
Why do you think they didn't rush him there? Nobody seems to want to rush him when he's hunting.
I don't know. I'm glad, but he does. He really has a quick operation time. Well, he does when he knows there's a rush, but he's got enough sense to to look at the body language and study the film enough to know whether they're coming or not. And when they're not coming, he just kind of relaxes and let it flow. But when we get him in practice and we're bringing the heat, he can catch it and get it out as quick as anybody.
Because would that have been a one-stepper if they were on the one, if y'all were on the one?
No, no, but it's just a shorter catch, shorter steps and get it out. You're not going to mess around with it. But like I said, thankfully it was on the 4 instead of the 1. I think it would have been tougher on the 1.
Big picture, coach, it's only 2 wins, but do you feel like you have some momentum now heading towards?
Yeah, it's great momentum. We felt like we created some last week, but we knew this game was going to be a battle royal. We knew it could have gone either way. I wasn't expecting we were going to come in and dominate by any means. I thought it was going to be just what it was today, just a few plays here and there that were going to determine who won the game. And I knew it was going to be a great atmosphere. You know, Auburn does a wonderful job supporting their team, and you know, Auburn, Georgia, we really are a lot alike in a lot of ways. And I knew we were going to be dealing with more than just a good football team. I'm sorry.
Keith Marshall banged up today while he didn't go.
Yeah, Keith, he got hurt in the last game. His knee and ankle were bothering him early on in the week. By the end, it was just his ankle. He got better every day to the point where we thought we could bring him, and maybe by today he'd be fine. But in pregame warm, he still struggled, so we didn't think it was wise.
Kind of crossing your fingers and running back to today, knowing the day.
Yeah, well, at one time Sony came out, and I didn't know what it was, but it turned out to be it just got his hand stung real good, and he just needed a minute to get over that and get back in the game. So that was
Mark,
thankful.
you alluded to the defense earlier. Can you just talk about the progress you've seen on that side of the ball?
Yeah, just a super job of guys doing their job and taking care of business, and you know, playing teams that, I mean, in college football, every offense is just so different. It's not like the NFL, you face the same cookie cutter kind of deal every week. And I know there's some variance in the NFL, but college it's drastic. And to have all the different types of offensive looks and put the plan together and get the guys to really do their job and take care of business, tackle good fundamentally, don't give up. You know, we haven't hardly given up any big plays at all, forcing people to drive the field. And I think the offense we actually have huddled the last 2 games. We actually have tried to realize that who we are right now is a team that's got to grind it out. And part of it is field position, part of it is chewing up the clock, and you know, helping the defense on that end as well. But we've just been extraordinary, really, in the red zone. We forced a lot of field goals and had a lot of turnovers in that red area, and that's probably been as big of the reason why we've had success as anything.
Mark, I imagine you guys know you're coaching pretty well. There's 4 years in the league. What did you make of this announcement?
Well, I know he's doing the right thing for him and his family. I know that those types of things, especially in cancer related, a lot of it feeds off of stress of the body, and a really stressful job. In some ways, you know, I'm thankful that he got diagnosed early, and he made a wise decision. And from what I hear, it's that type of thing is treatable. I don't want to sit here and act like I know what's going on 100%, but I think he did the right thing for his family and for his program. And he's, like I tweeted out, he's a really great coach and been a great friend, great colleague.
Did you say anything to your team either before or after last game, conference game for the seniors?
Yeah, we talked a lot about that. We talked about it last night. And it was mentioned a few times throughout the week. Really, last week was the last home game to SEC. This was the last SEC game. Next year's the last home game, period. And then Georgia Tech game is the last game, regular season game. So there's a lot of lasts for these seniors. And, you know, week after week, there'll be a reason to be motivated to make good memories for our seniors.
Last question.
Is this one a little sweeter just from the way that road trips have gone for you?
Yeah, I mean, they're all sweet. They really are. They're so hard to come by. There's so much work put in. you know, this week, obviously, but I mean, just going back to August 1. I mean, there's so much of our lives that are invested into these games and these moments, and they are really hard to come by. And I learned real fast my first year, you know, coming from Florida State, winning in style and all that kind of thing, points and all that kind of stuff. I learned in a hurry, 10-3 is a glorious thing in our league, and I'll take any victory that we get and be excited about it. Thank you.
Mark, you have an idea about